Hello, my name is Ellen and I'm here with Alex.
Hi.
Who had a chance to go and see Outer Worlds. Alex.
I did.
How was it?
Really good. Yeah, this is the first time we've actually got to play it. So far, Obsidian, who you may know as the makers of Fallout New Vegas, and a load of other really cool RPGs. Yeah, they've shown a lot of gameplay, but this is the first time we actually got to try out for ourselves, and it plays as good as it looks. So yeah, it's I'm very excited now.
Good. And we'll start at the bottom.
Yeah.
What is it?
So, The Outer Worlds is a sci-fi RPG. It's got a space western sort of vibe, and it takes place in like a colony on the far reaches of the galaxy called Halcyon. And it's a colony that's completely run by corporations. So what that means is that there's no government. The government is what's called the board. And so as you walk around, you'll see it's like a very consumerist culture where there's loads of adverts for stuff. People are like worship company mascots like they're gods. And yeah, Obsidian go to town in terms of the dark humour of where to take that and sort of sending up capitalism and corporatism and stuff like that. And you play as, obviously it's a completely customizable character, but you're this colonist who has essentially been in cryosleep for decades. You were meant to arrive at Halcyon like 70 odd years ago or something, but something happened with your ship, it malfunctioned, and the board kept you just orbiting around the place because it just was more profitable for them than to actually rescue you. Through circumstances which I won't get into, you eventually actually wake up, make it to Halcyon, and then your objectives, I'm not really sure what the objectives are from there because it's not quite clear cut, but let's just say that you'll probably be taking down the board for yourself and making a name for yourself. And the thing about the Outer Worlds is that this is completely your adventure. There's a lot of freedom and choice in what you get to do and say and how you behave, so the story will be completely different depending on how you play.
And am I right in thinking the cryo sleep that you mentioned earlier, that gives you powers?
Yeah, so technically it's not described as powers, it's described as like your brain malfunctioning, basically. But what it means is that you have this bullet time ability where if you hold or press the left trigger, you slow down time during combat. And that's really helpful, especially if anyone's played Fallout game, they know like the combat can be quite clunky. And like the Outer Worlds, it's really good. The combat's a lot smoother and better, but it's still, it's not like Call of Duty. So yeah, this slowing down time is kind of like the Outer Worlds answer to VATS from Fallout, in that you can just, with the click of a button, it's not like unlimited, there's a meter and it will refresh and stuff like that, but it can create some really cool combat moments, and especially get you out of like a tough fight when you need to.
It's nice that they've actually justified it, because so often in games it's like, you can just slow time.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
It's just deal with it. And so you mentioned Fallout New Vegas.
Yes.
Are the comparisons quite apparent from playing it, as long as you did? Yeah,
I think it's worth pointing out that this isn't a Fallout game. It's a lot, even in just terms of colour palette, it's a lot brighter and it's a nicer world to inhabit, I'd say. This isn't, post-apocalyptic Earth. This is futurist utopia, sort of out in the far reaches of the galaxy. But Obsidian's dark humour is definitely there. Turn every corner and there's some weird thing going on, and it's normally quite funny. But also in the same way, it's got that go anywhere, do anything. The choices you make will have consequences. Even in my playthrough with my preview, I was a lot of people were wondering, well, does that mean I can kill anyone, even if they're like important NPCs to the story? Suffice to say, you can do that. Like, there was one time where I went into like a kitchen in a city, and there was a chef, and he was about to give me a quest, and I just thought, like, what would happen if I just shot this guy in the face? So I did.
For research.
Yes, for research, exactly. So I did, and he died, and like I was hounded by the cops, but. You can do that, and if you want to be a complete psycho, you can be, and I have no idea how that's going to affect the story. I'm sure there's a ton of fail-safes in terms of the main campaign, and like to make sure that you actually can complete it. But yeah, there is. You can even kill like people you rescue, and like people will hate you for it, and you'll probably be just a fugitive for the entire playthrough. But like if that's what you want to do, you can totally do that.
But it isn't without consequence. I'm guessing there are reactions from other characters.
Yeah, definitely. And like your buddies, so you can have two companions at any time. If you're basically a psycho, they will comment and be like, "I'm not sure I want to be with you," or like, "What are you doing? Why am I helping you?" Yeah, and like people will react to you differently. So it's not like complete anarchy where you can just do what you want and not expect to suffer any consequences. Obsidian are pretty good at sort of locking that in and making sure this world is reactive.
Yeah, and the companions that you go along with, they weigh in on conversations that you have with quest givers and NPCs. NPCs and stuff.
Yeah, so I haven't seen anything like this since like a Bethesda RPG, and even then, like, it's more a lot more interactive than that. Like, literally every conversation you have, your two companions, or you can have one or none if you'd prefer, they will comment on your conversations. They'll, you know, you might bump into a stranger and then it turns out your companion actually is best friends with that stranger, and so when you kill that stranger, they're a little bit pissed about that. Or if you order them to kill that stranger, they're a little bit depressed about that. Yeah, so they have like an investment in the world. They'll often ask you to do like personal quests for them, and that can, you know, improve your relationship with them. I'm not sure if you can romance them yet. It seems likely, but yeah, they'll definitely have a reactive relationship to you in terms of how you help them, and how you, for instance, if you're doing an important critical mission in the story, often either of your companions will be in favour of one side or the other side, and if, depending on which one you go with, that'll please this companion or, you know, annoy the other. So yeah, they're kind of like advocates, devil and angel on your shoulder, but they're also really helpful in combat as well. So we had two during our playthrough. We couldn't choose them, but they both had incredible special abilities which you can activate with the D-pad. So one, I think Nyoka, she's called, has this insanely high-powered minigun, and if you just press left on the D-pad, she'll just fire it at whoever you're pointing at. And it's ridiculous. Whereas the other, I forget her name, but she has basically a massive electrical hammer, and if you press right on the D-pad, she'll teleport to whatever enemy you're pointing at and just slam it down and basically stun everyone in the nearby vicinity, which is, again, like, it's all done through like cinematic cutscenes almost, and it never got old. So yeah.
So there's definitely merits to having two companions.
Yeah, exactly. You can, like, there's a very complex like perk system, and as you'd expect from an Obsidian game, and you can have perks that mean you're stronger without companions. So it's definitely viable to do a solo playthrough. But I think it sounds like Obsidian want you to take these companions with them, with you on your adventures.
The conversations that you have with sort of quest givers and people that you meet along the way, you have a lot of different options in terms of dialogue. And it seems that you can be manipulative, you can lie, you can not even do a mission and just say you did it.
Yeah. So again, like Fallout, like, you can completely customize your character in terms of their abilities, and that includes, like, you know, their ability to charm, their ability to lie, their ability to intimidate, and that's all done via this very, like I said, this complex sort of stat system. Yeah, so if you're not very high in the charm ability, you're not going to be able to charm your way past a guard into an area. But if you've instead spent points on, you know, aggression and intimidation, then you can probably just bully him. So yeah, that creates a lot of branching paths in terms of how you tackle stuff. You could not talk to people at all and just brute force your way past people. My guy, I basically created a like really advanced scientist, so he could hack stuff and like he could talk to robots quite well, which is good. But then on the flip side of that, on top of all the perks and like the benefits and stuff like that, there's these things called flaws. So this is quite cool. Like, if let's say you're fighting a load of robots, because you're being damaged by loads of robots, you suddenly earn a flaw called robophobia, which essentially means that whenever you're fighting robots from now on, you'll like be significantly weaker than you should be. But as like a reward for accepting that flaw, you get a perk point. So it's kind of this weird trade-off where you can either reject or accept that flaw for an extra perk point, and it creates this cool economy of how you're upgrading your character. And there are some very funny ones. So like, obviously robophobia is, you know, doesn't exist, or at least not yet, and it all is depending on how you play and like who you're fighting. So yeah, while I was playing, I was attacking like a bunch of reptiles, and I can't remember what the name was, but it was something like, again, reptile phobia or something. So I accepted it for an extra perk point, but then I could clearly see that every time I fought those reptiles again, the fight was tougher. Obsidian have said that there's like multiple endings to the story, and we're still not clear on how like big this world is. It seems to be like a number of regions that you can sort of fly to and from in your ship. I don't think we should expect anything as big as like an Elder Scrolls game in terms of the open world. It's more like deep rather than wide. But running around the world in which the region which we were given, there is a lot of stuff to do. So the region we set out in was the same one as the E3 demo. If you've seen that, I went in the complete opposite direction and found like an entirely new city full of quests and NPCs and like sights to see. So it's definitely gonna be like a thick, deep RPG. It's just unclear at the moment like how we'll be able to explore it and how much there is to explore.
Was it in your playthrough that you had to help a woman find her son?
Yeah. So
cult?
yeah, as you can expect, there's like plenty of side quests to do, and like a lot of them will result in some really wacky scenarios. So yeah, I entered this city which was opposite to the E3 demo, and like literally as I came in, there was this crying old lady who had lost her son. And from the way she was talking about it, it sounded like he was like 10 years old or something, and he just ran off and like got eaten by something horrible. So I thought, okay, yeah, I'll help you out. So we go and find him. Turns out he's like a full-grown man, and he's joined this cult, and I can't remember the cult's name, but he basically like loves it and wants to stay, and he hates his mum who's overbearing and controlling. So the choice you have are to like persuade him to come back, which I don't think I could do. You could just kill him because reasons, or you could fake his death for him, and then just give his mum. He gives you this ring that you can give to his mother to prove that he's dead. So she'll just stop asking about him. So I took the ring. I went back to his mum, and then she was like, "Well, are you sure that like he's dead?" And then you had an option to go, "No, I've just given you this ring because it told me to."
And you took that option.
Yeah. So just to see what that was, and then. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a happy ending at all. It was just a really like strange excursion that didn't really result in anything drastic. But it's that kind of Obsidian writing that like hopefully is just layered throughout the game like really strongly. So yeah, there's plenty of stuff like that to do, and you know they won't be important to the main story, but they're just really funny, interesting like things to explore.
And there's no right or wrong option.
No, exactly. Like morality is very there's no black or white there. It's just do whatever you want, which is always fun.
So you got to see a lot of it, but it sounds like there's still a fair few things under wraps. Is there anything you're looking forward to that you didn't see enough of?
Yeah, so one of the things we were explicitly told not to do in our preview was to go aboard our ship.
Are you the captain of
a ship?
You
become a captain of a ship.
And that's why your companions are following you around?
I think so. It's more like you find them and then you help them. They're like, oh yeah, I'll follow you.
You kill my friend, but I'll carry on following you.
Yeah, classic.
I'll see where this goes.
Stuff, yeah. Through some sort of means, you acquire quite a big spaceship, and that's how you travel from place to place, from planet to planet across the solar system. But we weren't allowed to see, what it looks like, how you control it, whether there's like things you can do in there or customize. Is this a Mass Effect thing where all your companions are there and you're able to like talk to them and build relationships with them? And that's again tagged to like how big is this solar system, like how many regions are there, what can we explore? So that's something that I'd love to see more of in terms of the main story and like how we end up taking down the board and what that means after that in terms of the end game and high level stuff.
And the fact that there is a ship implies it's probably not walkable, the map.
Yes, exactly. I'm pretty sure there's multiple planets. And yeah, it's just a question of whether we can actually fly there ourselves or if it's just clicking a button and it fast travels us all the way there instantly.
You'd hope, because it's Outer Worlds, plural.
Yes,
so
exactly.
There will be more than one world.
Yes, the Outer World isn't quite as exciting as the Outer Worlds.
An Outer World.
Yes.
And the last question, the most important question, when is it out?
So the Outer Worlds is out on October 25th. It's out for PC, Xbox One and PS4. And they've just announced it's coming to Nintendo Switch as well, which is really cool. But that's sometime at a late date because, as you can imagine, it's probably quite hard to put a game that big on a console that small. But yeah, it's exciting.
Cool. Thanks for talking to me.
It's all right. Thank you.